listening. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Rooftop Club podcast. I didn't need to say podcast like that, but what's done is done. Today, we are going to slow down. Let's take a moment and pause. Let's stop running today. Just for a little while. Let's stop scrolling, stop running, stop being so fast. Let's take it slow. Whether you're listening to the episode at night or during the day, in the afternoon, evening, dusk, or dawn, whatever time you're listening to this, I hope that you can take a break, take a moment, and just slow down and take everything in. Everything. Even the bad things. I don't think we give the bad things enough time to seep in. They stay on the surface, they stay too prominent. Now, I'm not saying that you need to bottle up your feelings and put those away and become chronically depressed or anxious. Not at all in that sense. But in the sense that process things, think everything through, and come to a conclusion. I titled today's episode, Isn't It Nice That Your Heart Is Beating? Because a few days ago, I did this. I was really anxious, but not really visibly anxious. Even I didn't know that I was anxious, but it was just an unsettling feeling. And I was offering my prayer. And after I was done with my prayer and I raised my hands for dua, I stopped because I knew I wasn't going to be able to make a dua. I knew I wasn't going to be able to say everything that I wanted to say to Allah and ask for everything that I wanted to ask for. It felt like I was stuck, but more like dead. And for the first time in my life, I did this thing. My hand did this thing automatically. I placed my right hand on the left side of my chest to feel my heart, to feel my heartbeat. And of course, I don't know if anybody has tried it, but I don't think we can feel our heartbeat that easily. Or can we? But when I placed my hand over my heart, I could not hear it beat. And I so wanted to hear my heartbeat because I felt like it would make me feel alive. And I pressed my hand with more pressure, trying to locate my heart, trying to locate the beating, but I couldn't. And I felt so bad. Is I just, that feeling when you thought it was gonna be magical and, well, it was anticlimactic. It was really, really anticlimactic. But then it hit me and I placed my fingers over my pulse and I could feel my pulse. And I knew that I was alive. I knew that my heart was beating. I could feel it under my fingers. And it was like one of those moments when you think that the climax didn't happen and it was anticlimactic, but just the next moment when you didn't expect it, the climax, the big thing happens. It was like that. And as I continued to feel my pulse, to feel it beat under my fingers, it was such a dramatic scene that my tears started flowing down my face and I was able to have a good cry. I don't even know what I cried for, why I cried, what was going on in my mind, what thoughts I was thinking. But I was just crying and I cried and felt much lighter. I didn't make the dua. No magic like that happened, but I think the magic happened. And I just, I just raised my hands and I just thought my dua, didn't even think it in words, and I just said Amin. I don't know what my brain said. I don't know what my brain asked for, but that was that, and the dua was done. And I know that's so not the way maybe that you make dua, but that day was like that. Anyways, I won't lie, and I always thought that on this podcast I would allow myself to be vulnerable and I would allow myself to share my vulnerable moments. So I won't hide the fact that I don't often think about dying or like there's no meaning in life and all those kinds of depressing thoughts. But it was nice to hear my heartbeat. It was nice to know that blood was flowing through my veins and, you know, keeping me alive, passing through every part of my body, and that I was not decomposing, I was not dead. I was alive. I am alive, very much alive in this moment. I could die any moment, but right now I am alive and I'm thankful for that because, how would I feel the things I feel? How would I cry? How would I be sad? How would I be vulnerable? How would I be happy? How would I see the things that I like? How would I do anything if I'm not here? If I'm not alive? If the blood is not flowing through my brains and my heart is not beating? I don't know if my words will change anything in you, and maybe you don't even need these words, but maybe I do, and I'm saying these, and maybe some other day I won't relate to these words, but in this moment I am relating to this. Right now I'm sitting on my rooftop and the wind is blowing through my hair. My hair is wet. I just took a shower a little while ago, so my hair is wet. And some strands are dry now and the wind is flowing through them. And once in a while, just one dry strand comes over my eye and I have to push it away and I feel alive. I just think that it is so important that we take things in. Maybe listen to your heart beating. Maybe feel your pulse. Maybe listen to the birds that are singing. Just take a break and slow down and don't think for a moment. Don't do anything. Stop. This is ironical, but stop to exist for a moment, and in that moment, you will feel the most alive that you can. You can feel your life. Feel that there is a life inside of you, and you are here. You can see the sky, you can see the leaves, and you don't even have to be outside. You can see the colors white, red, blue, pink. You can see all the colors. Or you can hear all kinds of sounds. You can close your eyes. You don't even have to see, you can just hear. And you don't even have to hear, you can just feel. You can touch, maybe touch your clothes, maybe touch your desk and feel. You have all these senses, and if you don't have any of these senses, you would have at least one sense. Use that and appreciate that you are alive, and appreciate that you can sense, that you can feel, that your heart can ache, that your eyes can cry. I'm mentioning crying and being sad again and again because these are kind of the main things that want us to not be alive. But these things are the signs of our life, of our existence. If if nobody ever experienced sadness, so many of the stories, so many of the writings, poems, and other things wouldn't have existed. So much of the art exists for our pleasure, but it was a result of sadness and grief. And we can still see that and feel that and get ways from it to understand how we can express ourselves. Expression, it's so important, and it lives on. Whether you're sad or whether you're happy, whether you express it or you don't express it, in a way, I might sound quite weird right now. I understand that. But that's why I said, would you come on this weird, whimsical ride with me? Because nothing really makes sense anyway, so my words don't have to make that much sense either. Let's be senseless. Let's be sensible in a very senseless way. I just feel like every once in a while I get in this zone where my sensing powers are like extreme, and these are the moments when I feel the most, I won't say peaceful, because for a depressed person like me, peace is rarely an option, but I feel silence. It's the kind of silence that's not sad and not happy either, it's just silence. And I believe that one of these days, this silence will turn into peace and internal satisfaction. But I have to keep experiencing it. I have to come into this world again and again to make it my own, to make it beautiful. Because if I won't come here, then how would I make it mine, you know? I'm really worried that I'm not making sense today. And this episode would be entitled as Lunatic, but well, I'm moving on with it. Can you hear the life in the background? Do you remember in the first episode that I talked about, and in the trailer as well, I said that this podcast is about life and, talking about life as it runs in the background. We really need to separate ourselves from the life to, feel the life again. And that is something that I have already said, but now I have said it again. Look at me trying to be some kind of, what am I, Aristotle? No, I'm not. I'm not trying to be some philosopher. I have never studied philosophy. I don't know anything about philosophy. I'm a fake. I didn't think I would try to be funny in this episode. I thought I was just gonna be whimsical. But, well, we gotta roast ourselves to stay sane. I would really recommend you guys to catch the silence in everything. But that silence is very peaceful, so try it. The silence in the noise of a fan, the silence in the noise of the breeze, the silence in the life, the silence of the life running in the background, like how I feel when I'm sitting up on the rooftop and the cars are passing by and I can hear people in the distant background and a dog barking and some doors slamming in some house and some night birds singing as they're flying by. All kinds of sounds are there, and I sit in the silence of these sounds. I want you to hear the sound of the birds. I want you to hear the sound of the breeze. I want you to hear the sounds of the leaves rustling, blowing. I want you to listen to the silence in a construction site. I want you to listen to the silence in the noise of a crowd. I want you to listen to the silence while you're listening to a song. I want you to listen to the silence in the lights and the silence in the darkness. The silence of the sun and the silence of the moon and the silence in the twinkling of the stars. I want you to listen to the silence when a plane is moving in the sky. I want you to listen to the silence of the exhaust fan of an air conditioner, of a burning fire, of running water, and the silence in the static noise. And these are all sounds, but I want you to experience, to catch the silence in all these sounds and all these noises. And in those moments, I want you to feel alive. It's only us humans who can be so ironical, who can experience the silence in the most amount of noise, who can see the darkness in the most amount of light, and light in the most amount of darkness. It's only us who can be this way. Only if we want to. Only if we pay attention. Only if we have the desire to experience this. And it's okay to not have a desire for this. But I was just suggesting. I wasn't reading a poem though. At one point I was just feeling, am I reading like one of those poems? I don't know what they're called. The non-traditional ones. Contemporary style of poems. Which reminded me, today I was scrolling through my notes app after a long time, and I found a few poems that I don't remember writing. And these were it was some stuff. It was so silly to me that I can write that way, if, I don't know, there's a meme or something that when you write something down in your notes app at 3 a.m. and read it the next day in the morning, like when you read it in the morning and you're like, damn, I was feeling some things. It was like that. Remember when I said in my first episode, which was about winter, how the winter skies are the most twinkling skies, the ones with the most amount of stars? I forgot that, and I was observing for many days that why can't I see many stars in the skies even though the sky is clear? And I just remembered that, oh yeah, there are more stars in the sky in the winters. I don't really understand the phenomena behind that because I've never tried to read about that, never tried to understand the geological factors or whatever behind that. But yeah, summer skies don't have that many stars even when they're clear. I miss the winter sky, but I don't miss winter yet. I am taking the summer in, even though the summer is really harsh and it's really loud. Summer was like, it's my party time this year. So it's only been a month of summer, like proper summer, just May. And I think everybody is already tired of summer because, wow, how harsh it was. But I'm not tired of it yet. And yes, people call me insane and lunatic. I don't know. I will always have this feeling about summers that I feel unstuck, or I feel like I was frozen and now I am thawing when the summer comes. And well, yeah, I'm thawing and melting because the summers are too harsh. It's so hot, but in like spiritual way, I guess. Summers really just make me unstuck. Not exactly unstuck. It's not like I don't have my problems during the summers, but compared to winter, I start living life in a better way, I think. Like I believe it's the better way of living. And maybe for somebody else it won't be the better way of living, but I just feel more alive during the summer. And I already explained, like nobody in my country likes summer. Nobody can, like it totally makes sense to hate summer because it's so bad. Honestly, it's on to us. It's like, yeah. But I don't think I would ever feel how I feel in summer. I don't think I would ever feel in winter the way I feel in summer. I don't think I would ever use my senses in the way I use in summer, and it's all just an automatic process, nothing intentional. Like I would want to have the best experience all throughout the year, but that doesn't happen. I really am the weather girl, aren't I? Because, or maybe all of us are, our moods, our lives, the way we think, the way we feel, the way we sense, the way we experience things, everything changes with the weather. And well, there's a great, great beauty and magic in that. And I will never back down from those words. I said that the change of weather is magical, and it's still magical. And I would really appreciate if you guys would stop cursing this summer and take it in for a moment. Take this hot weather in for a moment. It's nice to experience hot weather and cold weather and, you know, autumn and spring and monsoon. Soon it'll be monsoon. Well, the amount of rains have kind of decreased in the past few years. All kind of changes are happening. We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about global warming, even though I would love to never shut up about it in hopes that maybe we can make a change, but let's stop. We're talking about taking the life in today, you know. Have you ever seen and taken in the scattered light when you are passing by a tree and the sun is shining through it? Have you ever looked at the mud in the flower pots up close when you sit down? Have you ever held a flower close enough to see every little detail in its petals? Have you ever held a leaf up against the sun, see how it turns into a light green shade and how its veins start to be so visible? Have you ever seen the dots in the leaves? Have you ever closed your eyes and really understand and study how all birds have different songs, have different voices, and how it's so amazing? This each song that is different and unique in its own way. Have you ever stopped while reading a book and really feel the imprint of the ink on the paper and how that ink has formed letters and those letters have formed words which are just shapes, but you can read it and you can associate a whole world, a myriad of feelings and emotions and objects and names with it. Have you ever wondered? Have you ever switched off a light and kept looking at it, seeing how it doesn't just die down and how slowly the light fades in the filament? Have you ever spilled water on yourself and see closely how it slowly dries out? How it gets dark the moment it's wet? Have you ever gazed at the sky long enough that your brain starts to make stars that are not even there, but they seem very real, and it feels like the sky is so full of stars that you can't make one out of it? Have you ever seen your skin so close that you can make out shapes in the lines and creases in your bare skin? Have you ever dropped water on a surface, one drop after another, and seen how the two drops connect and makes a bigger drop? Have you ever looked at a paper so closely that you can see the fragments of the wood it was made from? Have you ever thought about that tree that got turned into that paper? What kind of wood it had, where it was planted, what kind of leaves it had? Have you thought about these things ever? Have you ever seen things so closely that it feels almost uncomfortable to see that many details? That it feels unreal, that everything has so much to it and in it, that you start to lose the sense of reality? I think if you haven't, you should. It's one of a kind of a feeling, and you don't get into that headspace often. It's very rare. It's very psychopathic, but it's not. It's really not. It's beautiful. When you close in on the distance between you and everything in this world, that's when your world will open up. That's when the knots in your mind will untangle. That's when so many paths will open in your brain. So many spaces you didn't even know would open up, would come forward. A broadening of the horizon. I really hope that you get to experience life up close and see the things for what they really are, and see what everything is made of and what everything is made for. And I hope that you realize that just like that, you are made up of so much. There's so much to you, and there's so much. You can have a lifetime and not explore yourself. You can have a lifetime and not know yourself. But isn't it beautiful that we can try and we can keep exploring and it will never end? Sometimes people take it as a depressing thing, but I think it's how we can keep going on, because what's the point if it comes to an end? Then that means it's the end. You know? You only have this little life. So be grateful and live it to the fullest. And I don't want to put pressure on you by saying that live your life to the fullest. I want to tell you that you can live your life to the fullest even by doing so little as to hearing your own heartbeat or looking at a flower up close. You can live your life to the fullest just by closing your eyes and letting yourself feel the water flowing over you as you stand in a shower. You can fully experience life just by standing in the wind and letting it blow through your hair and letting it hit your face. Just letting it be and letting yourself be. Just be grateful. Just be. You're here. Stay.